What's up? It's been a while, or this is your first time watching a video from the Upside Down Church. Welcome. You're watching the Upside Down Church. I'm Jacob. First off, what we're listening to, Project Lone Wolf, Edge of Saturn. Mentioned this last Saturday, depending on when you watch this, but mentioned this on a stream where we went through the metal tag on the Saturday crew streams with over on the Dreadful Minutes. Project Lone Wolf is a now defunct band, but this is kind of thrashy US power metal, kind of in the vein of like probably most closely sounding like Iced Earth to me. So that's what we'll be listening to. What we're going over today, kind of my favorite albums of 2025. This video is going to be going over kind of like that top tier of albums for me, what I consider kind of that masterpiece tier of album. I don't have these ranked. My album of the year, I don't have an album of the year this year. There wasn't anything that kind of singled itself above all the rest. There's about a pack of 4 or 5 albums that, depending on the day, what my mood is, what genre of music I'm wanting to listen to, that's the album I'll pull. But that would be the album I pull if I want to go for a 2025 release. But what else was I going to say there? 2025 in general, man, it was an incredible year for music. Pretty much everything I show today would rank like, if it came out last year, would have been like my two or three, between 2 and 4, I'd say, album from last year. Everything I show today would be that high. Nothing touches my album of the year from last year, which was Contention, Artillery from Heaven. That's my album of the decade so far. That album is incredible. But I digress. Let's get to the albums that I want to talk about today. First album is going to be Opia, I Welcome Thee, Eternal Sleep. Opia, this is the debut album from Opia. It's a gothic death doom band from the UK and Spain. So it's an international project. But man, for a debut, this has me super excited for this band going forward to see if they can top what they did here. Gothic death doom in the vein of Draconian. There's some maybe like Aeonian Sorrow there, Swallow the Sun, especially the track Days Gone By there's a section that sounds like it could have been taken straight from a Swallow the Sun song, but the closest band that I would compare them to is Draconian. Main difference being that this has a single vocalist, where Draconian has the dual vocalist, but the vocalist on Opia still accomplishes that same feel. She has the clean vocals as well as the harsh, and she covers both aspects, and it's remarkable how well she pulls that off on this. The tracks I would suggest checking out on this one are Man Proposes, God Disposes, Days Gone By, and On Death's Door Part 2. Really, everything I show today is going to be like, I recommend listening to the whole album, because, to fit in the category of being a masterpiece for me, you really can't have a weak track. So, yeah, any album I show today, it's like, check the whole thing out. They're great albums, not just great tracks. Anyways, and 2 more CDs, and then the rest will be LPs. Next up is Kardashev with Alunia. It's a band from Arizona. I wasn't familiar with these guys until pretty recently. Well, I wasn't familiar with their music, familiar with the name. I avoided them for a while because of what they were labeled as death gaze, which just didn't appeal to me. To check out something that's considered death gaze. But Heavy Metallurgy did a album club episode on the previous full length. This is their third. They did it on the second. I can't remember the name of the album, but yeah, Liminal Right, I think. Yeah, they did that, and I didn't expect a band that I only knew as being the band that was coined as Death Gaze to receive high marks from those guys over on Heavy Metallurgy, and they all kind of had pretty glowing remarks on that album. So I ended up checking them out. Yeah, that's how I made it to this album. This album is fantastic. A brilliant album. To me, I don't pick up on the shoegaze element to it. Very progressive, melodic, some technical death metal in there. I'd compare it to bands, having elements of bands like Rivers of Nile, De Obliviscaris, are immediate bands that I would compare it to. Yeah, but and some Coheed and Cambria, just based on the science fiction element of it. But whereas Coheed focuses more on it's a completely different concept and storytelling, but still in the realm of science fiction. Kardashev, they pull their name from the Kardashev scale, which I was unfamiliar with up until I became familiar with the band. It's a weird kind of I don't even know how to say it, but it's basically a scale measuring where you're at on where civilization's relationship to energy, and like whether you're creating like renewable energy and basically the further along the scale you get, the more energy and power you have to be able to create more to advance your technology. So the further along you get on that scale, the more advanced your civilization is. And that's where kind of a lot of the concepts on this album from this band come from, is like progressing civilization further in time, and yeah, it's a lot to get into. I don't fully understand it. Like on this album, Alunia is actually the name of a language that they created for their music. It's not all in that, it's just sprinkled in. They actually include a little translation guide in there, but I haven't gone through and done that. I haven't dissected the lyrics. Yeah, it's crazy. Really, really good album. You know, everything I showed is going to be like I said, what I consider to be a masterpiece level album. Final CD, German solo I think it's German solo project, Vanessa Funke. Probably a artist name that's not going to draw on a lot of people, but it's definitely something worth checking out. I found her work randomly a few years ago. It was on Bandcamp. I got a notification from a label that I'd previously bought from. They said they had a couple more little box set with all their previous work. Like, we found two more, or a handful more copies of this. Grab it while we still got it. I was like, that FOMO striked, and I was like, oh, we've only got a couple copies left. I got to check this out and see if I need this. Checked it out, and yeah, it's a killer project. Pretty much all of her albums, save one. There's one that is kind of more of a acoustic, not fully acoustic, but very influenced by the likes of like Chelsea Wolfe, Emma Ruth Rundle, and that's kind of like the anomaly of her discography. But everything else is very Insomnium inspired. In her guitar work, she pulls a lot from Insomnium. Read an interview where she said they were kind of they were her favorite band, so it makes sense that you hear a ton of that in the guitar work. But on this one, she infuses a lot more DSBM influence to it, a lot more black metal to it, less Melodeath. The way I would describe this album is Insomnium's Wintergate meets the DSBM band None. Kind of that more atmospheric style of DSBM that None brings to the table. Or brought to the table. They're now defunct. But that's how I would describe Vanessa Funke. And the album title is called Requiem. Worth checking out. Okay, on the vinyl. This is, one of the handful that I'm showing today that I would, given the day, would be what I would consider an album of the year. This is Panopticon with Laurentian Blue. Not a metal album, but still a fantastic album from a metal band. This is Austin exploring his, the other side of his black metal, the folk, Americana, bluegrass side of his sound. Stripping away all the black metal and just producing a album that sounds straight from that Appalachian folk sound, country sound. And what he produced here puts it up towards the top end of a already very top heavy discography. I would take this over a lot of his metal albums, in fact. Probably my favorite since maybe Autumn Eternal, but I'd have to sit down and really rank them out. But yeah, incredible album, worth checking out even if you're not a fan of those styles, just to see the authenticity that Austin brings to that. Yeah, Panopticon Laurentian Blue, put out through Nordvis and Binder, worth checking out. Next up, we have a very talked about album this year, Deaf Heaven's Lonely People with Power. I've always had a odd relationship with the band Deaf Heaven. Post-Black, Black Gaze has always been, that was my entry point to black metal. It's always been a favorite. You know, Deaf Heaven has always been known as kind of like the high watermark of that, and I've never agreed with that. It's never been that band for me. I enjoy their, Sunbather. Little story here. Sunbather was the first black metal album I bought, not knowing what it was. Having seen, it was around the time it came out, I'd, seen it all over the more mainstream metal, alt metal, hard rock places I was following at the time. The Pink album cover was pretty striking. It was like hard to forget seeing that, and so I saw it in an FYE. I was like, I've seen this all over the place. I'll just pick it up and see what it's about. See what all the fuss was about. And spun it once. I didn't get it at that time. I wasn't ready for it. Hated it. It ended up in my box of CDs at the time, and never thought about it again. It just sat there, and years later, once I discovered and got into post-black metal, returned to it, and it still wasn't, it was good, but I didn't have that connection that a lot of people had with it. Like, I didn't view it as this the flag bearer of the genre that a lot of people touted it as. I wouldn't have put it in my top 10, top 20 post-black metal albums of all time. Their follow-up to that, can't think of the name of it. New Bermuda, I liked a lot more. That one may have cracked like a best of post-black metal album list, but that's a maybe if I sat down and actually thought about it. But this one, after the two albums that preceded New Bermuda, I had no hopes for this. Release date, I ended up, checking it out, and immediately was smitten by this. Pulled me all the way in, and to me, this is easily the best album that Deaf Heaven has produced, and by a long shot. It's amazing. Okay, keep this moving. Next up is a solo project out of Kentucky. This is Starer. with Ancient Monuments and Modern Sadness. Made by a fellow named Josh Hines. This was released on vinyl by Diriondak Black Mass, and I think cassette and possibly CD by Fiat Productions. What this is kind of a meeting of atmospheric and symphonic black metal. It doesn't hit that cheesy, overblown levels that a lot of symphonic black metal does. It's not overproduced. It's very well produced. The production is immaculate on this. It's very lush, very defined. I don't know what the terms would be there, but it's got amazing production for a solo project. I would say this is for people who are fans of like Mare Cognitum or Ara. There's some similarities to those bands. I think this is his 4th full length, and he's just continued to build on each release. Sarah was a band I found early on their career. I think I picked up their first full length on his first full length around when it dropped, and band I followed very closely, and I think this is the best album he's put out to date. He's also in projects you might know, like Bilhargam, I don't know how to say that. Primeval Well and Swamp Fiend, all great projects. But this is probably the best thing Josh has put out to date in any of those projects. Not all those are. I think this is this and maybe Bilhargam are the only solo projects, but I can't remember if that one's solo or not. I know the other two aren't solo, but that's the best work he's been involved in. Okay. Next up, this is just a demo or EP. This is the Blood Mountain Black Metal Choir, which is a mouthful of a name. Pretty ridiculous, but this is Demo 1 Folklore. This is black metal, very heavily influenced by stuff like the aforementioned Primeval Well and Panopticon. A little bit closer to the harsh coldness of like a Primeval Well. It's a lot darker it's harsher maybe than Panopticon. But this leaves me super excited for what this guy can pull off as a full length. Had this been a full length that all had the same quality as the 5 tracks on here, it probably would be the album of the year. It's incredible stuff. This one was put out through Fiat Productions on vinyl. The guy behind the Blood Mountain Black Metal Choir is also behind I Slept on the Moon. It's like a post-rocky album that Biandroom released last year, as well as some another album, another project that he's behind. I'm spacing on the name of it right now, but on my next video, I'll cover the album that he released in that project. On that video, I'm going to do a second part of my 2025 releases covering that next tier, kind of albums that I didn't see. I won't cover everything that made that tier, just kind of covering mostly albums that I didn't see anybody talk about this year. Stuff that I want to talk about, I think deserves a mention. The next one I've got is Astronoid with Star God. Astronoid's been a long-time favorite band of mine, specifically their debut album, Air. It was a very early album as I was progressing into black metal and stuff like that. Not a black metal project. There is some influence from black metal on the sound, but Astronoid early on described themselves as green thrash, which I always say is it's a ridiculous genre tag to call yourself until you listen to the sound and you're like, that kind of fits. It fits, does the sound. Since Air, they had 2 full lengths between that and Star God, both of which I thought were really good releases, but nowhere close to the level of Air. It felt mostly like what would be B-sides to that album. So it kind of left me wondering what the future held for them, if they could progress their sound, deliver something on the same level as Air, what they would do going forward. And this album really surprised me. They took that sound, which I would describe their sound as a meeting place of post-rock and post-metal. But they took that sound, and on this one they infused this 80s kind of like arena rock, Don Henley style rock music, infused that into their brand, and what it resulted in was incredible. This album it's awesome. It's, the music has this kind of bright, shimmery tone to it, but underneath that you find this just sense of like longing and this sadness, this longing sadness, as well as like hope. There's hope there. There's longing for a better world, life, whatever, in there, and it's just something that always latches onto me. That aspect of Astronoid. Awesome project. If you've never listened to Astronoid, I recommend checking out both Air and Star God to see where they started and where they're at. I still think I like Air. Air is like a top 20 album all time for me. But yeah, this shows a vision moving forward with their sound, and I'm stoked to see where Astronoid goes in the future. This is probably my favorite track on this Project Lone Wolf album, Star Starbound Butcher of My Dreams, so it's good. Next up is Dying Wish, some metalcore for all you guys, all you appreciators of the metalcore genre. Here's the album cover, and then I've also got this alternate variant from Downbeat. Pretty brutal cover there, but this is a pretty brutal cover as well. But Dying Wish on this, it's a band I've fallen in love with. I think late 2023 is when I discovered them, or early 2024. Their first two albums had a bit of a early 2000s metalcore vibe to them, bringing in that melodic death metal riffing, guitar work, which, you know, I love that stuff. But on Flesh Stays Together, they kind of abandon those mellow death riffs and bring in a much heavier kind of, I don't know if this is the right term for it, but like beat down, brutal style behind it. There's a lot of similarities to like Knocked Loose, the album Knocked Loose released last year. I think this has the same producer as that album. Ton of influence from that, as well as not influence, but this is kind of like taking the best parts of Knocked Loose and the best parts of a band like Spirit Box, combining them, brings some of the melodic clean vocals of Spirit Box, as well as the just brutality, doesn't feel like the right word, but that edge of Knocked Loose to it, and blending those together, and it ends up being one of my favorite albums of the year. Great kind of breakdowns on here, and like that vocal line that leads into the breakdown, they just have a knack for nailing that. The first track, the call out on that for the breakdown is just the simple, plain spoken, just fuck you, and then hits it with like the nastiest, heaviest shit, and then next song is like the call out is like everyone is a victim, and then it just fucking all out, just yeah. Dying Wish, if you like metalcore, is Flesh Stays Together is an album you need to check out. I love the lyrical themes on here. A lot of, I would say it's like probably 2/3 very socio-political content, like themes, and then the other third are kind of more personal themes to the writers of the songs. Yeah. Yeah, one more album. Blackbraid with Blackbraid 3. I describe it as an entry-level black metal album, but not as an insult. I think this is it's a phenomenal black metal album, but there is a level of accessibility to the sound that I think could pull in and probably has pulled in new fans to black metal without being like a rudimentary form of black metal. I think this guy has an incredible knack for songwriting, has an incredible feel for songwriting. Yeah, and God of Black Blood. That's probably the highlight track on here. Every track is amazing on here, but that one just has that slight notch above the rest. Check that track out if you haven't listened to Blackbraid. This one's also what I would call my album art of the year, even though somebody tried to ruin it by describing it as a t-shirt you could find in a Midwest truck stop, which hurts me to say. It's kind of not a wrong description of it, but I still think this artwork is killer, and this is the variant that's got the metallic embossing on there, that silver emboss on the border and everything. It turned out incredible, and that border on here, that's what really takes that artwork to that artwork of the year level for me. But yeah, anyways, that's all the albums that I would qualify as masterpieces. Might one day do a video kind of going over my thoughts on the terms like perfect album or like a 10 out of 10 album, and why I've chosen different verbiage for that. I prefer to qualify an album as a in the spectrum of being a masterpiece, opposed to like perfect or near perfect, or like a 10 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, whatever you want to call it. One day I think I'll make that video kind of explaining my opinions on that, but my next video is going to be kind of going over some. I think I already said this. I'm going to do a video going over that next tier of albums, excellent albums that I'm not going to cover everything that I put in there from 2025. Just a lot of stuff I didn't see mentioned on other channels, but yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning into the Upside Down Church. Hope to be back with a lot more content this year and going forward. So, later.